Tonight is the big AEW pay-per-view headlined by Jon Moxley versus Kenny Omega. But the big rumor, the one that's overshadowing everything, is the announcement that the Big Show made last Wednesday that AEW has a Hall of Fame worthy signing, and we will find out tonight who that is. And since last Wednesday, the internet has been abuzz with so many rumors of who this person could be. Now, let's go over some names here. But first, he said Hall of Fame worthy. Does that mean this person is not already in a Hall of Fame? Or does it mean they're worthy of being in the Hall of Fame they are already in? There's so many ways you could take what he said. So let's go over the list of names, or a list of names. It's not official. This is just crazy rumors. A list of names of people I have seen and heard and wrote about online. We went into a deep dive over on my Facebook page, right there, the other day, and so many names came up. So first off, the big one, the massive one, is Brock Lesnar. Now, that would be huge. I think, right now, there's only one other guy I think it could be that would be that big of a shocker that would possibly match a surprise of Brock Lesnar. And a lot of people are like, what would AEW do with Brock Lesnar? Well, here's what I would do, and hear me out. I would bring Brock Lesnar in. I would put him over whoever the champion is at the time. In this case, let's just say, let's put him over Kenny Omega. And then Brock Lesnar destroys the AEW roster up until AEW has their WrestleMania type pay-per-view. And then you build Kenny Omega back up as well. And then Kenny Omega goes over Brock Lesnar, making Kenny Omega an even bigger star than he already is. But there's a whole bunch of other people, but Brock Lesnar going to AEW right now would be insane. But there's also, yesterday, this is now, Kurt Angle released a video yesterday on Twitter, lacing up the boots, looking like he's in amazing shape. And ever since he released that video, everyone is like, oh, it's definitely Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle does have a relationship. He's, over the years, you've heard so many stories about how good of friends he is with the Big Show. So maybe he's going to follow the Big Show to AEW, which would also be a pretty big shocker, but not on the same level, I think, as a Brock Lesnar. But it still would be cool. You know, everyone's well aware that Kurt Angle is not a fan of how he retired. So does he want to come back and have a match with Kenny Omega, with some of the young bucks? I wasn't even going there, but it went there. With the young guys of AEW to see what he still has left in the tank. It would be super cool to see Kurt Angle in an AEW ring, to see if he can still go like he thinks he can still go. Another name on the list I've seen is Lita. Now, I don't know how big of an impact Lita would have in AEW, but nonetheless, it would still be cool to see. Christian is another possible and another big name that it could be. Christian jumped to TNA, much like Kurt Angle did in the mid-2000s. Rumor is that he did that WWE appearance recently with no contract, and this is just rumors. Clearly, I don't know. Nobody knows. Rumor is he hasn't signed a WWE contract yet, and so it would be, and he's been medically cleared, supposedly, to be able to return to the ring. He looks like he's in fantastic shape. Man, all of these guys, mid-40s, 50s, look like they are in amazing shape. Like 50 years old is the new 35 from the 80s. Nobody at 50 looked like this back in the 80s and 90s. Just crazy, crazy. I also heard of Bully Ray, Bubba Ray Dudley. Again, I don't know how much of an impact that would have on AEW, but it would be cool to see Bubba Ray Dudley in AEW. Now, another one that I thought it could be is Rob Van Dam and Katie Forbes. They recently left Impact Wrestling. I think seeing Rob Van Dam, I haven't seen a picture of RVD lately. I wonder if he's gotten himself back into shape. Seeing him do some of the things he used to do, or even just a fraction of the things he used to do in ECW with AEW, would be very cool. I think he's more likely to be one of the people more than some of those other people on the list that you see out there. But RVD and Katie Forbes gets views. She is one of the most viewed wrestlers. She was one of the most viewed wrestlers on the Impact Wrestling YouTube channel for a while. She still is. She's got millions upon millions of views. So she gets traction, which is something AEW needs and wants. So it would be very cool to see RVD and Katie Forbes in All Elite Wrestling. Another rumor, and this guy even responded to the rumor. Batista talked about how wrestlers need another word for retired because nobody ever stays retired. He tweeted that when somebody asked him if it was him going to go to AEW tonight. Now, that would be a shocker as well. The Animal Batista in an AEW ring. How that would be up there with Brock, I think, for wrestling shock to see Batista. Not only Batista, he's in like some of the highest grossing movies of all time with Guardians of the Galaxy, the Avengers. It would be crazy. He's a mainstream star. To see him in AEW. They actually, at the UFC pre-fight press conference on Friday, they asked former UFC champ, who is a big wrestling fan, Daniel Cormier, if he was the surprise for AEW, and he said no, he's too old, but it would be very cool to see Daniel Cormier there, which opens up the doors to a lot of names that people didn't necessarily think of. Could it be a UFC or a mixed martial artist? Could it be Conor McGregor? Could it be Daniel Cormier? Could it be any of those retired massive UFC names? Could be that could be an interesting way to go as well. And last on the list, now this guy would definitely be up there with your Batista, with your Brock Lesnar, of huge names that would definitely light a fire in AEW. And that's CM Punk with AJ Lee. Imagine CM Punk shows up. I'm sure AEW could get the rights, or like at least one time, to his WWE song by Living Color, Cult of Personality. Imagine that hits, and out comes CM Punk with AJ Lee. Watch it be like son of WWE, Vince McMahon, Hornswoggle. I feel like almost anybody outside of like Brock Lesnar, CM Punk, is going to be a disappointment, just because of how much the internet has built it up. But it's going to be crazy to see tonight who it is. Is it going to be CM Punk, Brock Lesnar, Batista, a UFC guy, Rob Van Dam, Katie Forbes, AJ Lee, Lita? Who knows? But they definitely did. They definitely have sparked an interest on the internet for tonight's pay-per-view. And if that was their main goal, well done, AEW. I bought in. I'm interested to see who it is. I will definitely be watching tonight to see who this Hall of Fame worthy signing that AEW has. I hope you guys enjoy the pay-per-view tonight. Do you think it's somebody else that's not on the list that I just read off? Let me know in the comments below on who you think. Oh, I forgot one. Mark Henry. It could be Mark Henry. He's another name on that list of people that I don't know how big of an impact name-wise Mark Henry would have. I mean, I love Mark Henry. The Hall of Pain run he had in like 2011, outstanding. I absolutely loved it when he beat Randy Orton to become World Heavyweight Champion, and it would be cool to see him back in an AEW ring. But when you're talking about names like Brock Lesnar and CM Punk, I don't know. But I'm a big Mark Henry fan, and I would like to see him do something if that's what he wants to do. He recently came out and said he's going to have another match in the next 6 months. Maybe this is it. Who knows? Who do you think it's going to be tonight? AEW pay-per-view, Omega, Moxley. Woo! Can't wait.